Okay, hi everybody, welcome back. We're looking today at Jeremy Duff, Elements of New Testament Greek, looking today at section 5.2, the use of adjectives, the first use of adjectives that we're going to consider in any detail, the attributive use of the adjective. Now, remember from the last video where I gave a brief overview of how adjectives are used, the attributive use of an adjective is one in which the adjective describes some attribute of a noun that it accompanies. And you've seen in the previous video also the form that adjectives take. So let's just give you an example now of how you might do this. There are basically two ways of writing an adjective, of using an adjective in an attributive fashion in Greek. And they look roughly like this. Either the beautiful land, or the land, the beautiful. Now, why did I write those both out in English? The reason is this. I think this will help you to get used to how adjectives are used in Greek if you, so to speak, internalize how the word order works in English. So you get used to thinking you can write the beautiful land or the land the beautiful. The beautiful land, the land the beautiful. And what that means then is when you're translating into Greek or when you're translating from Greek into English, you will more readily see the form of the attributive use of the adjective leaping off the page at you, and it will make sense to you more quickly. In English, we'd never write this unless we were writing a particular kind of poetry or something and we wanted to get the number of syllables right or the rhyme or the meter or something right. We'd write the beautiful land, but in Greek, you can write either. So let's imagine that we wanted to do this. Well, we know that the word for land is ger. Oh, goodness. Writing problems again. Ger, and that's in the nominative singular case, and let's imagine we wanted to make it the subject of a sentence, so we're going to put it in the nominative singular, or we're going to write hair ger, because land is feminine, not ho ger. That would be a mistake because these need to match. Now, the word for beautiful is kalos. Kalos, kalon, kalu, kalo, etc. Kaler, kaler, kalen, kales, kaler, and kalon in the neuter, kalon, kalon, kalu, kalo, and so on. Remember that every adjective can come in masculine, feminine, or neuter forms because it needs to be able to modify or go along with masculine, feminine, or neuter nouns. So which of the forms are we going to use here? Well, obviously, because we've got a feminine noun, we're going to need to use the feminine form of the adjective. So if we wanted to write the beautiful land, where beautiful, what we've remembered as the lexical form is, I'm thinking of the ending already, kalos. You've remembered that, but you know that this can just as easily be kaler or kalon, feminine neuter. So here it's going to be hair, kaler, ger, the beautiful land. So now, if it's possible to write it in that way, it's also possible to write it this way. You write the land, the beautiful. And I want to just give you an opportunity, just take a look at this. Imagine how you would write this if you were writing it in Greek. It's based exactly the same on this. If you wanted to write it in the nominative case, then you'd simply write hair, ger, hair, kaler. Now, you might ask yourself the question, why on earth would you write it out with 4 words when you could write it out with 3? And the answer is, there are lots of reasons why as sentences get more complicated that it's necessary to shuffle words around. Sometimes people will say, well, there is a different emphasis in using this structure, hair, ger, hair, kaler, as opposed to hair, kaler, ger. And it's possible that that's the case, but I would caution you a little bit. There's a danger of being slightly simplistic in talking about emphasis, because if you think about how language actually works, language is so subtle that just to try and capture the nuances of meaning of a particular form of words by just talking about emphasis can be somewhat simplistic. But nonetheless, Greek does give you these 2 options, 2 ways of doing it. Now, let's suppose we want to write the actual sentence that you've got at the bottom of page 56 that Jeremy Duff's given you, you notice that he's not written her ger or her caller ger. And the reason is because the sentence he has written makes the beautiful land the object of the verb and not the subject of the verb. So let's work out why this is the case. Let's write it out in English for a second. They see the beautiful land. How are we going to translate that into Greek? Well, very straightforwardly. First thing you do always when you're translating anything is to translate the verb, because it gives structure and shape to everything else. So they see, the verb I see is blepo, so you just go through it in your head. Blepo, blepes, blepe, blepomen, blepete, blepusin. We want the third plural because it's they see, so blepusin. And how are you going to write the beautiful land? Well, what we just did was her, caller, ger. But just a second, we don't want to write her, caller, ger, do we? Because that would be putting it in the nominative case. And if it's the object of the verb see, it needs to be in the accusative case. So here's how I suggest you do it. You've translated the verb. Now translate the noun with its article. And what have we got here? Well, it needs to be accusative. And this is ger, so it's ger, gen, ger, gen, ger, ger. Nominative, accusative, genitive, dative. The, her, ten. So do the verb, then the noun, and then add other things. Add things like adjectives, and of course this adjective just drops straight down here. And by the principle of agreement, must agree in number, case, and gender with the article and the noun that it modifies. So they see the beautiful land. Blepusin, ten, kalen, gen. Of course, you can write the beautiful land in another way. In English, you'd literally gloss this as the land, the beautiful, rather than the beautiful land. And so you'd then write, instead of that, ten gen, you write ten gen, ten kalen, and you'd read it across like that. And for the sake of where we are at this stage of the course, as I said, don't worry about differences in emphasis or anything like that. It means roughly the same thing. Now, you've then got at the end of this section a bunch of practices, practice 5.2, which will give you some practice in putting the nouns and their associated adjectives in the right case and ensuring that the number and the gender and so on match, which is basically the challenge at this stage. When you're using adjectives attributively, the thing that you'll tend to get wrong is you'll do something like this. You'll write blepusin, and then you write the land, ten gen, and then you'll think, what's beautiful? You think, beautiful, that's kalos, and you'll just write kalos in here, which of course is wrong because it doesn't match. So be aware of that when you come to the next video on practice 5.2, page 57, where you get a chance to go through some of those examples and answers in the back of Jeremy Duff's book. But that'll do for now. Remember, 20 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. Pray for me that I will be able to do the same, and we'll have you reading New Testament Greek in a year or two. All right, God bless. Bye for now.